I'm Zeenat. I come from India. I work with a group called Development Alternatives, and I am an architect and planner by training. My training in Masters of Architecture was at the Minimum Cost Housing Group, where I studied a lot of concepts about housing for the poor. And at the moment, what I do in India is also very much related to that work. For the past 30 years, I've been working on rural housing issues, on issues of housing policy, and issues of housing finance, issues of artisanal skill development, and bringing it all together for rural India as well as now for urban affordable housing as well. So this is very, very broadly in what I've been doing. But the most important thing is that all of these ideas got their foundations, if I may say so, they were shaped by my studies at the Minimum Cost Housing Group. I joined the Minimum Cost Housing Group in 1993, so I was here for 2 years, from 93 to 95, and that was a very exciting time. We were a group of, I think about 15 odd people from all over the world, and I think that was the best sort of diversity that we could have, and including the people who were a year before us. So there was another 15 to 20 people who were from different countries, and learning together about housing issues, housing for the poor across the third world. So we were learning from Indonesia, we were learning from Iran, from Mexico, from Lebanon, from Syria, from India, of course, from China, and China is very important at this stage because we were doing a project which was the Jue Hutong housing initiative, and understanding how traditional housing in Beijing was happening, something that has got, in fact, over the years, as China has grown, all those developments have been submerged by within the urban growth. But those traditional housing were where we learnt how people were building, how people related to their spaces, how people shared spaces, including people sharing sanitation systems, which was a very interesting experience for us. And I took back all these ideas back home, and in fact that influenced my thesis, because I looked at rural housing and traditions of rural housing in India, and my whole thesis was how people build, what is the building network within and housing network within a community, within a society, and those ideas have sort of grown. So I am absolutely excited to be here after 30 years to relive, if I may say so, those moments, to come back to see what has happened and how the program grew, and of course then got submerged into other programs, and of course to meet all my old friends who are going to be here, and Professor Vikram, of course, who was leading. I remember him with great respect, and I would say a lot of learning that I have from him. My thesis supervisor, Andre Cazo, I don't think he's going to be here for the symposium, but he is somebody that I really look up to, and I've been in touch with him through these years. He's been doing very exciting work in housing over the years. So yes, all of us, I think, who went out from here took back those little sort of foundations, little ideas, little ways of looking at things, at building, at housing, at people, how people and housing come together, and we have greatly benefited from what we learned here. Most beautiful years of my time, really. I mean, to learn from a diversity, I think that was the strongest part of this program, that we had people from so many different societies and cultures, and you could understand and learn. And I think in this world today, this globalized world today, which is so full of strife and stress, this is the most important thing, to know and understand and respect cultures and ways of living from across. And I think that's what the Minimum Cost Housing Group gave me, that foundation.
That's great.
Yeah. You know, one of those interesting things, we were working we were building these drawings, etc. We were learning from what was happening in Hutong, and just to understand, and I don't know where that drawing is, I should look at it. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it here, how people have lived close together. They didn't have toilets in their homes, by the way. They were shared systems, and people, and I remember discussing this, how people would go to another space to use their baths and toilets, and also the fact, which was a very different thing from where I come from, that the Chinese culture at that point considered the bio wastes, human wastes, as a resource. So they would take it back for composting into their fields and use the human fecal matter and human urine as nutrient. And from a culture that I come from, where this is a abhorrence, this was such a big learning for me. And you know, how people would, so these small tiny courtyards which were common spaces, and how they would all come together to live. This was very, very interesting way of looking at things, very similar to what I could relate back to India and India's rural housing. I'm so excited to see these back again on the drawings that we worked on. Yep. So the batch before us had already gone and done all these detailed sort of studies, and we had actually come to look at them and then redraw them and learn from those. So there was a lot of exchange between the year before us and us.